Yo, what's good, guys? It's Austin here, or Luna. So, today's story time is definitely a crazy one. I hope you enjoy it. And yeah, let's just jump into it. So, today's video all takes place, today's story time, when I was 17 years old. Now, 17 was a fun age. I don't know, it was like right before I became an adult, so, I still was kind of being a little bit of a troll teenager. But I was old enough to kind of like go out on my own, hang out with my friends. Didn't really have to ask my mom to do much. At this point, I was also doing YouTube full time. And I don't know, my parents were like pretty trustworthy in me, if that makes sense. And yeah, I was enjoying life, right? And around this time, I was going through a huge phase where I would explore abandoned stuff, aka buildings. Don't know why I said stuff, but you know what I mean. And I've kind of always been going through that phase my entire life. I have stories from when I was 15, 16 doing that. But for some reason, when I was 17, that was like the peak of my abandoned exploration phase. Because, like I said earlier, I was kind of like a little bit more independent at this point in my life. So, anyway, this all starts off as a normal day when I was 17. I woke up. One of my friends called me. He asked me if I wanted to hang out. We'll just call his friend Connor, okay? Connor hits me up. He asked me if I want to hang out. I'm like, yeah, of course. And then Connor comes to my house and he picks me up. Now, we spend the first hour of hanging out, just getting food, driving around, kind of trying to figure out what to do. And we hit up another friend of ours. We'll call this friend Justin, okay? We go and pick up Justin. Now it's me, Connor, and Justin all hanging out, just kind of driving around, listening to music, talking, having fun, right? And Justin gets the bright idea to go and explore abandoned building. And of course, me and Connor are both down for that because we always would do that together. So we were stoked, right? And we go online and we start looking up buildings near us. Like, we had this little forum we would use where people would like post abandoned locations and which were the best to go to. And we found this abandoned yacht. Yeah, an abandoned fucking yacht. So, of course, I'm in for that. And so are both my friends. We're like, yo, an abandoned yacht? Like, that sounds fucking awesome. Like, it's literally just a ginormous mansion boat in the water, abandoned. What could go wrong, right? Yeah. It just sounds like a fucking disaster saying it out loud right now. But yeah, like, we were stoked. We were like, all right, we're gonna go on this boat. We're gonna explore it. Like, maybe we'll find something really cool. Like, I don't know, right? So, Justin finds the coordinates to this abandoned yacht boat thing and he puts it in the GPS. We drive to the abandoned yacht. The GPS led us to this like huge abandoned parking lot, and we had to get out of the car and then walk through some woods. But when we got on the other side of the woods, there was this giant lake, and there was the yacht sitting there in the water in all of its glory, tied to the side of this lake, like just kind of sitting there in the water. And we were stoked. It looked even cooler than the photos we found. So we run up to it, and immediately Justin and Connor jump on board, and I follow and we start exploring the whole top deck immediately. And I was loving it, dude. Like, it was so cool. I felt like a fucking pirate or some shit. I don't know how to explain it. It was amazing. And this yacht was 3 stories. So there was like the top deck, the middle one, and then like a basement one, kind of. And it was crazy. I remember at one point in one of the bedrooms, we found like a captain's hat, and I put it on. And I was walking around the boat like, hey, you gotta get on the steering wheel, man. We gotta get this boat out of here. Just pretending to be like the fucking captain or some shit. And yeah, I was having a lot of fun. Everything was great. We were all having a good time. And then we got to the bottom floor of the boat. I don't know if it's the basement or like just another floor. I don't know. Either way, it was the bottom one. And that's when I realized that this boat, we weren't alone. So me, Connor, and Justin opened the door to the bottom floor of this boat. And we go downstairs. And immediately we see a sleeping bag, an air mattress, another sleeping bag, and a lawn chair. And underneath one of the sleeping bags is like a silhouette of a body, like a shape of a body. And we're like, holy fuck, someone's down here. And it reeked. It smelled so fucking bad. Like a smell I can't even describe. Like I'd never smelled it before. And it was really, really bad. And all around him was rotten food, and this body that was laying underneath the sleeping bag wasn't really moving. Like, I didn't see any breathing, and it was fully covered. So I start freaking out a little bit inside. I'm like, yo, is someone, like fucking dead down here? Like, is this a dead person? And I look over at my friend Connor, and I look over at my friend Justin, and they look at me with the same look as I'm giving them, like, yo, is this person, like, alive? And I had 2 choices. Walk up to this guy and poke him and be like, hey, man, are you alive? And see if he's alive, or leave and call the cops and let them deal with it. But then if I call the cops and he is homeless living here, they're going to fucking kick him out. So I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm just going to poke him and, see what happens. Now, before I tell you what happens next, if you ever find yourself in a situation like this, turn around and leave and just let the cops handle it. Because looking back, I definitely wish I would have, but I didn't. And yeah, I walked up to this sleeping bag with someone under it, and I crouched down, and Justin and Connor are both looking at me like, yo, like, be careful. And I was like, yeah, don't worry. And I take my hand, and I poke the sleeping bag, and I'm like, hey, man, you awake? And all of a sudden, this motherfucker underneath the sleeping bag jumps up out of nowhere and starts screaming like, ah, ah. And he bends down and picks up a knife that he was sleeping with. He had a knife underneath the sleeping bag that we couldn't see because he was sleeping with it, fucking like cuddling it like a teddy bear or some shit. And he picks up this knife and he's like, what are you guys doing? And he starts chasing us around the bottom floor of this fucking boat. Now, me, Connor, and Justin are freaking out, running as fast as we possibly can, and we end up running around the bottom floor and then to the stairs, and running up the stairs all the way to the top floor, like the deck, and this fucking dude is still chasing us, and he's yelling like, what the fuck? Get off this boat! Get off this boat! And he's screaming, and we're trying to yell back, like, hey, like, stop, like, we're not gonna hurt you, we're okay. And he's just still chasing us, waving the knife around, yelling at us. And Connor and Justin end up running off the boat back into the woods, and I was separated from them, and the homeless dude started to block the exit where we got on and off the boat. So Connor and Justin got off the boat safely, and I'm stuck on this boat with this guy with a knife who wants to probably cut me up for dinner. And I'm like, holy shit, I'm gonna die. This is it. Like, it was nice knowing everybody. Just a lot of thoughts going through my head. And I have the brilliant idea of, okay, you know what? I can't get off and walk to the woods because he's blocking the only entrance and exit, but I can jump off the boat into the water. Now you're probably thinking, Austin, why the hell would you do that? Well, it was a 50-50 chance, really. I either jump off and this homeless guy leaves me alone because he doesn't want to get wet and cold, or I jump off and he jumps in the water with me, and, I don't really like the ending of that one. So, I jumped. I went for it. I jumped in the water, and right when my head popped back up, I looked up, and I saw the homeless guy standing there with his knife, looking at me in the water, and he just yells, and stay out! So that confirmed it. He wasn't going to jump in the water after me. And my theory was right. He didn't want to get wet and cold. So I swam as fast as I could after this to the shore on the other side of the woods. I got out. I was freezing. I was wet. I had no towel or anything. All my clothes were soaked. And I started running around the woods to the other end and then back to the parking lot. And I got there probably in about 20 minutes. And when I got to the parking lot, my friends were just like in the car waiting for me. Thank fuck they didn't leave me there, because that would have sucked. But yeah, when my friends saw me coming, they immediately jumped out of the car, Connor and Justin, and they were like, yo, we're so glad you're okay. Like, we thought you were gone, bro. Like, we were literally dialing 911 as we saw you coming out of the woods. And I was like, well, I'm glad I'm alive too. And Connor immediately goes into the trunk and he picks up an old hoodie that he has back there and he throws it to me. And he has me dry off with it a little bit. And I remember that drive home after that just being silent and like very, very like, I don't know how to explain it, like a massive adrenaline come down, because we were literally so hopped up on adrenaline and so scared and anxious that when we got in the car and we realized everything was safe and okay, like that whole drive home, we were just like, holy shit, that was the closest call ever. But yeah, we immediately went onto that forum where the abandoned yacht was posted, and we all left a post being like, hey, don't go exploring here. There is a homeless man with a knife, and he is not afraid to use it. Like, he lives there. Don't even bother. Honestly, I think more people live there, because like I said earlier in the story, there was multiple sleeping bags. So, like, I think he had other people that were just, like, out getting food or something. I don't know. I don't even want to think about what would happen if there was more people there that day. That could have been the worst ending ever. But yeah, guys, moral of the story is, probably should stay away from creepy abandoned buildings and stuff. As much as I love them, they've definitely gotten me into some pretty creepy and scary situations. So yeah, obviously I can't recommend you guys go and do the same. But I hope you guys enjoyed this crazy story time. If you did, please leave a like on the video. I would really appreciate it. Feel free to leave your story times in the comments down below. And subscribe if you're new. I'll see you all later. Peace.